GamerDude2088, and we're back for another Overwatch video. And this time we're going to talk about the competitive Season 2, the team composition we were running, and some of the tactics and things that we were implementing and that we should have implemented in this video. This was one of the first times I worked with the organized team. I'm like the captain of the team, so I do like all the shot calling, the positioning, placement, the composition that we're running. I pretty much set up everything for the team to play and try to work with everybody's strengths and eliminate as much of each of one of our weaknesses as we can. Now, I was fairly new to really coaching a team. And this one, there was a little fumbles and like character picks because I had a composition, but everyone wasn't ready for the choices that need to be made. So one person was left with picking the Roadhog by default. First thing I generally do is tell everyone the placement and the locations we're going to be in. Since we're in defense, right here, I was telling them we're going to have the Ana and our soldier to stand up there. This way they can see pretty much everything that happens. They can watch the doorways and the archway. Then where I'm at now is where the Roadhog and the Junkrat will be by that doorway. The Junkrat will set his trap. The Roadhog will get picks through that doorway if anything try to come through, which will force them into the Junkrat's traps. Even though we had a random on our team, the composition does hold a Zenyatta. So the Zenyatta will be placed behind me and I will stand right there at this choke holding my shield. Off rip, we ran into some team placement issues. When I look back, you will see that the Ana and the soldier was down on the same level as me when they should have been up in the cafe. Having that range advantage is important. Then, since we had problems with who was being the Roadhog, that doorway wasn't covered. And since I was kind of new to organizing a team, I didn't have the Junkrat watching the doorway as well. And then right here, this team fight could have been a little different. Had they had the high ground, that would have put them in a better point of having an advantage over the enemy team being on the low ground, especially since they didn't really have range to begin with. It's okay to drop down if you're being focused on fire at range and the enemy is flanking to just get to you if you're in the cafe. But just how we're set up right now is not the best because no one's really watching what's going on. And I call out the diva up there, but our team, if they was in the positions that they supposed to been in, they would have saw the diva a little earlier, even though we were still able to take them down because this enemy team is uncoordinated. You can look at them and tell that they're just all pretty much running in sporadically. And we're just having some random craziness that's happening. And kind of want everybody to hold their positions. We don't really want to get out of positions because when you run in defense, and I don't think too many people talk about it, at least not often, but when you're running defense, even if someone's flanking, you want your front line to stay in the front line. Before I continue, right here, since we won the first couple of engagements, we're ready to make a full, strong pushback, even though they try to group up and work together. So I call for the team to push up a little bit, which I think they didn't really catch on right off. And then I call for the disengage just because we didn't want to overcommit. Don't want to overcommit. But the guys that stayed on the point did a good job contesting. That I do like. They stayed on the point to contest. And I tried to block here, which I don't think I was able to really block everybody. And then here's when we all should regroup back up and try to re-engage because they made a strong push in and they picked off quite a few of us. Like you see someone die here. That was when it was their time to run. Instead of trying to stay in a fight that you're going to lose, run. Don't stick around for a bad fight. A good run is better than a bad stand any day. Generally, when someone's flanking, it's usually just one or two people. So you don't really want your front line to break just to run to the point for just one person on there, like a Genji or a Tracer or something. This is why the soldier's in the back line, so they can be able to pick off whoever comes around the back side if necessary. At this point, the person playing Roadhog called if he should use his ult to push the enemy off, but we're doing well enough that it wasn't necessary, and I think the enemy team was doing pretty bad at trying to take us down was from just not being coordinated enough, and then they didn't have enough range either. They tried to use the Pharah, but the Pharah just wasn't enough and this game was running towards the end. And you see, we're all crowded around. It wasn't necessary for the whole entire team to push up like that. Not for one person. That's one thing that we got to get out of the habit of. The whole team doesn't have to take down one person. 2 to 3 people is good enough. I have a pretty good team I'm playing with, and I don't want to sound like I'm just ragging on my team from just playing badly, because, I mean, actually, we just crushed these guys. They couldn't really do much to us, but I like to see some real playmaking opportunities happen with the team, because we don't have to all rush one character. We can have a situation where maybe somebody comes on a flank and a person on the back line calls a Pacific character to come support them. Then that will be a good thing. So that leaves the rest of the team to watch the front line. We don't necessarily have to have everybody in the back line when you only need maybe 1 or 2 extra people to help you. A healer, or if you are the healer, 1 DPS just to support you taking down an enemy tracer or whatever. The Zenyatta player, which was the random for our team, didn't do too bad. Thought he was going to go Zenyatta again, but he ended up switching to Piggy for the offense, which made one of our players switch off to pick up the Zenyatta role. And then we lost the Junkrat and went for Reaper, and then we went Zarya for the offense. Now, we still have the Soldier because I prefer Soldier since we're all really low-ranked players, and face it, people, most of us is mediocre in this game. We're not pro tier, and then I'm playing on console. This is my Xbox gameplay with my friends, and I also play on PS4. So, this is not a PC version of the game, and a lot of people will say, go McCree, but not everybody is really good with McCree, and McCree is kind of useless if you can't land consistent headshots with them, which makes Soldier a better option, and I prefer having a Soldier. But yeah, since they went with the Piggy, we end up having to go with the Zenyatta. Now, we have a more closer range composition, even though Zenyatta and Ana has sniping capabilities. This is a more close range composition, so we will have to really force the point. This would have been actually a good one to have a Lucio in, so we can just rush in and just put out a bunch of damage. But I love the Ana Reinhardt combo, so this is why instead of having a Lucio, we have Ana. I mean, we could have took out the Zenyatta, but that's not what we were going for. Everyone was so hyped up at how well we did defense that mistakes happened soon as we started the attack. Now, everyone knows Reinhardt is slow and clunky, and everybody's running out, and I'm trying to do my best to stay ahead of the team and everything. And here's where we all should just sit back and poke damage just so we can charge ults and then try to find the enemy. But you see, they all just try to rush in. I'm trying to stay ahead of everything, but I wanted to call out the diva, but I wasn't given any chance because our Zarya player overcommitted too fast, and then our Ana player, I don't even know what he was thinking when he was trying to rush in there. I mean, you pretty much 1v5 right now. That wasn't or 1v4 because it was a Zenyatta on top of the building in front of us, and the Zenyatta was taken down. But you put yourself in a bad position there, which ended up getting you killed. You're very important piece to our puzzle, so that forced us to kind of stay there. And I was calling for the team to group up to stay there because I was waiting for our Ana to return, but everybody started just rushing, and maybe it was a good thing for those 3 to push in, because we did get 2 picks and then we lost 1. So that's a 2 for 1. So it wasn't a bad idea for them to push up like they did, and then for us to come back in just to get the clean up, because it was real fast. I mean, this attack was pretty much it. And there you have it right there. They couldn't do nothing. I just put up a guard right here, forced them back. I mean, they tried their best to take us down, and that was pretty much game. Yeah, that could have went really bad had our Zarya died before we had a chance to really push in. We did lose our Ana, but was able to regroup. I want to say a few things before I go. I wanted to critique more of our gameplay because I know we're a fearsome force when we're working together, and we can be even better. And I'm putting this out for more console players so they can get better too. And for you shot callers out there, you guys that have your team and you're pretty much running your team, let your team pick heroes they're comfortable with, or gear your team to playing new heroes when you do quick play so they can get better at those heroes. I've been noticing that we've been having a lot of good games based on heroes that people normally play. They might not be the heroes I want in the composition, but it works. And this is the Gamer Dude signing out. See you in the next Overwatch video. Deuces.